mentioned that I received as a gift from a good friend of mine, a violin that had been in his family for generations. I guess it was his great grandfather's. And I said I was going to open it up and show you it in a video. I don't really have anything like scripted or really worked out, but I was going to show you the case first, and then, which is all original. But the night that I got this, I was really excited about it and went online and looked up different things about it and kind of tested Google's Gemini AI on its knowledge, and it contradicted itself several times. So if there are any experts out there, I welcome your thoughts into what it is that I've gotten. I know generally what it is. It's a Jacobus Stainer copy that was made in Germany, likely between 1890 and 1910. Family might be able to help me a little bit more with that, but I think those details they might not even know either. It was restored. I don't know what all about it needed to be restored. I don't know if we can see the label in there. I can see it, but I don't have the light on there in a way that's allowing you to see it. But anyway, there's a label in there. It says copy of Jacobus Stainer. Does not have a date. And then I was trying to look for marks. They said that some of them won't have marks on the back. So there's a little mark here that looks like an H. But even that, I'm not sure if that's an H or not. Right above my finger here. Apparently more obvious ones actually would just say like copy of Jacobus Stainer. But it looks to me like a capital H right here. Again, trying to get the light to shine on that in a way that is helpful. And as I said, I'm not quite sure what was restored about this beautiful violin. I think the chin rest, guessing, is still original. I think the tailpiece was replaced because in the case there might be 2 extra tailpieces and maybe just 1. But I guess it's possible that these would have come with multiple tailpieces back in the day. I really don't know. Only has 1 fine tuner here for the E string. And that fine tuner says Paris on it. And there's also a label, DEP, Depot of Paris. Not sure, Depot. Looks to be worn off a little bit. But you can see Paris in there pretty obviously. I am nearly certain that the tuning pegs were replaced. They seem, especially these copper, not gold, it's more bronzy copper, in case you can't tell that difference in color. Ends, they just seem either like too new or polished, or I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure they, like I said, I'm largely ignorant on it, so I'm sure they could be original, but to me, these strike me as add-ons. Or it could even have been an improvement that was made a long time ago, while the violin was still being used. An interesting thing about Jacobus Stainer violins, I have a Stradivarius copy from, I believe, 1977. Stradivarius violins have a flat top, but the Jacobus Stainer model, it might not seem like much, but this is a very big arch. So much so that like the one side of the F-hole here is noticeably higher than the other side of the F-hole. The F-hole is kind of more flat on a Stradivarius or a copy. The bridge is new. And Another thing I noticed about this, the internet says that this is common, but who knows with the internet. The action, which is the distance from between the string and the fingerboard, is very high on this violin. It's not as big of a deal on a violin than it is like on a guitar, for instance, because the tension isn't as high, but it'll be interesting to play it to see if that's still comfortable to play. But the internet says that this was common with Stainer violins. All right, I'll show you more of what was in the case. Scroll is pretty typical of most of the violins that I have played or seen. So in the case came with 2 bows, and only one was decided on to be rehaired. I'm not quite sure. I have a guess. I have yet to rosin this bow, so I'll be putting some rosin on it hopefully in the coming week, and get to really try out this new to me violin. So this piece is maybe added on while it was still being played. It's just for friction for holding it. That would not have been original to this bow because it's like a piece of rubber. And here, I don't know if they made bows in the same factories as they made the violins, but it says Germany on there, although it's not crystal clear, but you can see the kind of like the A and Y at the end. If I can actually, there's the Y and then the N. And my guess, so this one tightens and loosens just fine. My guess is that this second bow, they were afraid to rehair it because it has a chip in the frog. Where was that? Oh, here. So you can see how the grips are different. This is probably original to this bow, and you notice the metal spiraling is missing from the rehaired bow. And oddly enough, this bow does not have the Germany marking here, but they're so similar in design that I feel like they must have been made together, and maybe they only stamped one of them and they put both in the case. I'm not sure. These the circular mother of pearl here, I'm not positive what it actually is, but this circle on this unhaired bow is a little smaller than this one, but everything else is nearly identical, save for the stamp. And so here's the part that I thought maybe was the reason they decided not to rehair this bow. It's a pretty fine chip. I don't think it would break, but I was wondering if they put the pressure that would come from having hair along the length of the bow might cause this portion to snap this way. I don't know. I'll probably take it to a store and see what they have to say about it. So I have 2 of these bows. The internet says they are Pernambuco wood, which would have been common probably at that time, and is a well-liked light wooden flexible material for violin bow, just stringed instrument bows. So it looks like a pretty normal case when you just look at it. There's often a flap in here, and that's where you could have some, if you had small rosin, like this is rosin in a box here, and then there's a mute, a metal mute, either for practice or just to get the sound that a mute brings, and then a pitch pipe. Close that again. And then there's also a flap over here. And then this flap is where we have the extra tailpiece. What I assume, well, you can tell, this was maybe the last used bridge. It, interestingly, has this notch cut into it. And the internet is trying to tell me that this notch was cut just by use, but I highly doubt that. It looks very precise and done on purpose. And that speaks to what I was talking about before with the strings and how they are, the action was really high. So that maybe he didn't like the high action on the high E string. Made it harder to play. And here's our other tailpiece. This actually looks like a newer tailpiece to me because of this material. Wonder why they decided with the other one. And there's another, this is also a used bridge. I'm guessing they put a better bridge on and probably sanded it to match the contours of the body of the violin. And I'm about to finish up here, but as I was looking through things on this case, I noticed this little tab over here, and I saw this tab too. I was trying to find maker marks. And they do say things on here. This one over here says, oh, it says cowhide. Okay. But I noticed this tab right here, and I was like, oh, I wonder what's on there. And then I realized it's like a false bottom, and there were all these strings in here, and I was like, oh, great, because I use these. These are the type of Thomas Deak dominant strings that I use, and they aren't cheap anymore. They were only $4 back in the day, but now they're like, oh, here's a $9, $12. Anyway, now to get a whole set, it's like $70 maybe. So these should still be able to be used, but then I noticed even older strings like these, and these strings are over 100 years old. So I was curious if anybody had any knowledge about these ones. Bernhardt's Violin string, Bernhardts, silver, steel, made in Germany. And then there's a couple of other very old strings, not these ones. This one here, Squire. This one is the one that I thought was perhaps the most interesting because, again, according to the internet, this name Squire is the same name that Fender, the cheaper Fender, Chinese-made guitars, Fender Squire, the entry-level guitars, that's where they apparently get the name, is from this same company. And these are also over 100 years old, 25 cents at the time, but really good condition. And finally, one more. This is the way they used to package these strings. So I have not opened this up. I don't know how good the quality of the string is in here. You can see it's stapled down on both ends. What does this one say on it? This is the Duro, made in USA, Durro. I'm not familiar with this, but I think this was a G string. Yeah, a G string. Gauge 2, not positive what all this means. 1530 and 1/2 also means nothing to me. But I was fascinated to have all this history in here. And the violin was still being used in the 1990s. There's a set of strings for $27 plus tax from a store in Morgantown, West Virginia. So that's the end of the tour of this 130-year-old violin and case. And again, if anyone is out there who has firsthand knowledge or considers himself an expert on these violins in this period, I welcome your comments and expertise.